Good morning, everyone. I'm Louis Davis Jr., AARP DC State Director. Thank you for joining us today and participating in this Fight Utility Scams virtual town hall. Today, we'll discuss old and new utility scams and tips for how to identify them and keep yourself and your families safe from thieves masquerading as your utility workers or utility companies. Like others across the country, district residents too fall victim to utility scams involving electric, gas, water, or telephone. To discuss this issue, we have with us today the Chairman of the DC Public Service Commission, Willie L. Phillips, to my right, and President of PEPCO, Donna Cooper, to his right. AARP's mission is to help people age 50 plus live their best lives, and that includes helping them avoid being taken advantage of, avoid being robbed of their hard-earned money. I invite you to visit our Fraud Watch Network online at aarp.org/fraud and take plenty of notes during today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. I am Peter Rankin. I'm the Associate State Director with the AARP DC State Office, and I'll be your moderator for today. So my apologies for that. You have to see my face. This is your chance to hear from us and to ask questions of our panel about how to protect yourself from utility scams. This is an interactive call, so if you would like to ask questions at any time during the call, just press *3 on your telephone keypad to be connected to AARP staff and volunteers who will ask you a couple questions about what you have and then place you into the queue for me to announce your question. We're going to be doing a little bit of a presentation first, so it might take a second for the first few questions to get answered, but please note that we will get to questions. I'd also like to say hello to our Facebook Live viewers, and if you have any questions, please post them in the comments section, and we'll try to get your questions answered as quickly as possible. As a final note, we will be discussing utility scams only. We cannot address any issues that are pending before the Commission, and that includes any sort of rate cases that the Commission is hearing. I've notified the screeners to screen out any questions for that, so we should be prepared for that. Just a quick bit of background on our panelists. We have Willie L. Phillips, who's the Chairman of the Public Service Commission. Chairman Phillips was appointed to the Public Service Commission by Mayor Vincent Gray in 2014 and reappointed by Mayor Bowser to serve as chairman in 2018. Chairman Phillips is an experienced regulatory attorney combining over a decade of legal experience in private practice and as in-house counsel. He has an extensive background in areas of public utility regulation, bulk power system reliability, and corporate governance. Chairman Phillips has a Juris Doctorate from Howard University School of Law and a Bachelor of Science from the University of Montevallo. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher that one.
Perfect.
He is also a member of the District of Columbia Bar and Alabama State Bar. Thank you for joining us, Chairman Phillips, and I'm going to give you the floor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to partner with AARP DC, as well as being here with Ms. Cooper from PEPCO. As you know, we're here to talk about utility scams. And over the past few years, we've seen an increase in complaints, formal complaints to our office regarding utility scams. And basically, that's people or individuals impersonating utilities. They'll come to your home, they'll call you on the phone, or they even reach out to you online, telling you that, I'm a representative from a utility, and the one and only point of their scam is to separate you from your money. Now, we're in DC and we're focused on this issue, but this is not just a local issue. This is an issue that impacts utility customers all across the country. We know because we've been talking to our colleagues. Oftentimes, you hear that it is a senior citizen or elderly person who's going to be a victim of a utility scam. I want to let you know that this can happen to anyone. Whether you are old, young, rich, poor, college educated, or not, it doesn't matter. Anyone can be a victim of a utility scam. And these are not the scams that were 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. It's not some faraway place. There's some type of prince offering you gold bullion if you give them your credit card or bank information. These are sophisticated, professional thieves who are targeting you, not just targeting you. They're also targeting businesses. We know from the Better Business Bureau that about 60% of utility scams go after businesses. So if you own a business, this is something that could impact you as well. As your utility regulator, we regulate the utility services for Pepco, Washington Gas, as well as Verizon regarding telephone service. As part of our mission, we look to ensure that there's safe, reliable, and affordable utility service for all customers in the district. We do that in part by ensuring that we protect and educate our consumers. And that's why we're here today. We want to make sure that you have the information that you need, that you are empowered so that you can recognize a utility scam, and also so that you can protect yourself in the unfortunate event that you are the victim of a utility scam. Why does this matter to you? The reason that this matters is because this is a pocketbook issue, plain and simple. We know that the average victim of a utility scam suffers about $500 in damages. All right. I don't know about you guys, but $500 is a lot of money to me. And that matters. And it can be a lot more than that. They can also come after your identity. The goal being not just to get cash from you at the door, but to open a bank account, to open a credit card in your name. So we want to be very mindful of that. We're going to talk a little bit more, I think, about the types of utility scams. I don't want to just give you a flavor of some of the complaints that we received at the Public Service Commission. The first one is a disconnection threat. This is when someone comes to you, they call you, they knock on your door, they send you an email, and they say, you have an overdue bill. And it's important right now that you pay or you will be disconnected. This is a red flag right here. No one from your utility is ever going to show up at your door and demand payment to stop you from being disconnected. The second thing I'll note is this is really like, they call it the green dot scam, but it's really with prepaid credit cards, or you have someone who demands urgent payment from you right now. We need to pay within the next hour. And they use pressure tactics to try to make you make a quick decision. What you want to do, don't give anybody a prepaid debit card. Your utility's not going to demand cash. They're not going to ask you to even go out and get, we've heard about an Apple iTunes card. We had someone who paid their bill with an Apple iTunes card. At least they thought they were paying their bill. No one's going to demand that you do that. The last one I'll mention right now is overpayment. This is a trick. They'll come and they'll say, you've overpaid your bill. So all you have to do is just give me your bank account and we'll send that refund out to you right away. This one might get me, actually, because that's very enticing. But the truth of the matter is, this is a trick. Don't fall for it. Your utility is never going to call you and ask for your financial information to give you a refund. What do you do if you think you are involved in a scam? The one thing that you need to do, the first thing, is protect yourself. Never give your financial information or your social security number to anyone who shows up at your door or who calls you out of the blue or emails you online. Unless you initiate contact first, don't do it. Also, if you're suspicious of anyone, if you suspect that someone has come to you and something's not right, you feel like they're pressuring you, you think that your bill is right, you don't think that you are, underpaid or overpaid, stop. Hang up the phone, close the door, call your utility, or you can call the Public Service Commission, 202-626-5100. We have a team of people set aside to address this issue. We're willing to help. The last thing I'll say, if you are behind on your bill, if your bill is past due and you know that you need help, there are resources that are available to help you. You can call Pepco. I know that Ms. Cooper and her team, they would be glad to work with you under the reasonable and right circumstances. We can also help you interface with any particular utility if you have a problem. So I've been talking long enough. I'm going to leave it with that, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Chairman Phillips. Our next guest is Pepco President Donna Cooper. She is the primary executive responsible for engaging in stakeholder relations at the state and local officials, community leaders, business and consumers, nonprofit organizations within the Pepco region. She plays a critical role in shaping policy and managing issues to deliver value to customers and key stakeholders. Pepco has an electric utility serving Washington, D.C. and suburban Maryland. It is a subsidiary of Pepco Holdings, and Pepco Holdings is part of Exelon Corporation, one of the nation's leading energy services companies. Cooper was awarded a bachelor's degree in political science from South Carolina State University and a master's degree in public affairs from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself there. And a doctor of philosophy in political science from Howard University, where she majored in public administration and American government. And I just want to remind folks that I'm Peter Rankin with AARP DC. This is the virtual town hall on utility scams for those of you who have just joined and those of you who are on Facebook. If you have a question on the phone, please press *3 on your keypad to be connected with AARP staff or volunteers who will screen your call. We'll be getting to the questions as soon as Ms. Cooper is finished with her presentation.
Good morning, and first, thank you. First, I want to thank AARP as well as the Public Service Commission for convening this very important discussion. One of the realities is that utility scams are frequent, and one of the terms that Chairman Phillips utilized is the fact that they're becoming more sophisticated. As the electric distribution company operating in the District of Columbia as well as Maryland, one of the things that is a top priority for us is the safety of our customers, our employees, as well as our contractors. Information is key, and when I listen to Chairman Phillips, I'm going to reemphasize some of the same identical things that he shared, but you cannot hear it too often. One of the things that I want to note as a utility, we want to ensure that our customers are not being taken advantage of. And when I say take advantage of, these schemes, when they come up, they're calling our customers, they're requesting generally immediate payment concerning your bills. That is a flag within itself. Customers receive bills, they have the billing time options to pay those bills, and you generally know what the process is. They're calling and they're saying immediate payment. They're asking for you to get a green card. They're asking you to utilize your credit card. They're asking you to do this at an immediate level. When you hear that, from my perspective, that is a red flag, and they're indicating that you will be disconnected immediately. One of the things that's very critical to know is that when it comes to disconnection, it is not immediate. There is a process. If you are behind in your bill, you will receive multiple notices. You will receive a disconnection notice. You will receive a time frame in order to make payment. It is not immediate. That is another red flag. Please hang up the phone and contact Pepco directly. And our number is 202-833-7500. And when I say call us directly, if you are a customer that is experiencing issues with payment, and I know Chairman Phillips mentioned this as well, we are always willing to work with our customers. We can engage in payment arrangements. We can identify different budget paying options. We can identify different times that coincide when you may receive a paycheck or other assistance. So please call us. One of the things that's a reality with these individuals, once you provide that information on your credit card or the green dot type card or a card that you can purchase at a Walmart or a CVS, and you provide that activation number, as soon as you provide that information, those funds are debited immediately from your account. And it is extremely difficult to ultimately be able to identify the source of where it's coming from. And when I say that, what we have learned in talking with our security representatives, a lot of these scams are international in scope. They're not being perpetrated within the U.S., not to say that it doesn't happen within the U.S., but those funds go across borders. So be very mindful of that. I wanted to target a few things. You talked about the dollar amounts, $500 being the average. We've heard of from $60, and this is both residential as well as commercial customers, up to $4,000 or even more for small businesses. So we have to be very mindful of that. They also do this. They manipulate the caller ID. you will see sometimes a call that's coming in and it's saying that it's coming from Pepco, but it's not coming from Pepco. They also have voice greetings that really mask our particular messaging as well. So please be mindful because of how sophisticated it has become. I wanted to turn to another subject. In the District of Columbia, our customers have the option to have alternative suppliers. And so you will sometimes receive calls from suppliers. Some of these suppliers are valid, but also these individuals who are perpetrating these schemes can also be calling and indicating that they are an alternative supplier. Your Public Service Commission has a list of those entities that are valid suppliers. We also have this information on our website. And thinking about AARP as well, ensuring that AARP has this information and looking at different vehicles for getting that information and listing to customers as well. So you do have those as options, but they also manipulate and utilize that process. Chairman Phillips also referenced, who do you call ultimately when you experience this? We reference local authorities. We indicate that we want you to call us as well to report the incident. You can also file complaints with the Office of the Attorney General through their Consumer Protection Division. The phone number for them is area code 202-442-9828, or in terms of their email address, consumer.protection@dc.gov. You can also contact the Public Service Commission as well. We want to know about this because our processes and our evaluation of this is evolving. We need more information so that we can assist. I want to talk about how we do educate around this, and this is an opportunity for education and awareness. We have regular reminders on social media. We utilize our homepage on our website. We also have media alerts. We conduct interviews as well. We are always willing and available to participate in community meetings. So if you want us to attend a meeting or a forum, we're available to do so. And then we also partner nationally with other utilities through our Utilities United Against Scams. So we are very participatory in this process. Again, one of the things that I want to underscore is that when someone calls you and wants immediate payment, that is a flag. Please do not provide information. You can get off the phone and you can contact Pepco. And again, we do not disconnect customers immediately. We're ultimately engaging our customers around payment options as well as timelines for payments. I wanted to turn as well to another subject because we're talking about also some of our most vulnerable residents. And when I think about seniors, individuals who will come to your home as well to impersonate, and you referenced this, as a utility worker. Has anyone called you from Pepco? Did you call for a particular service? Did we call you to schedule an appointment? If we have not, please do not let anyone in your home that has not, you have not been notified that they are to be there, contact Pepco to find out whether or not we have someone coming to your address. Do not allow them access to your address. So again, we are here to assist. We want to take your questions, and we're available to take any questions that you may have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. And just a reminder for folks who just joined or are on the Facebook stream. On Facebook, you can enter your questions in the comments section. And for those of you who are on the live stream, we have please press *3, and you'll be connected to an AARP volunteer staff member who will give us a little bit of notes on what you would like to know. First, we have a poll question coming up, but I have one question from Miss Verna Claiborne, and Miss Verna, you are going to go live right now. Miss Claiborne, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I understand.
Hello.
Hi, I understand you have a question for Pepco regarding PSAs about scams.
That is correct. I am a senior, and I do not do any kind of social media, but I have been getting anywhere from 4 to 5 calls every day from a number which is a Pepco prefix 877, And they are calling saying that if you have paid your bill for 3 months on time, that you are entitled to a 30% discount. And then you click push a number for one, and then they'll have somebody come on and run this scam. I've talked to all of my friends who are also seniors. They've gotten these calls. I have not seen a single alert or anything on WTOP, and I'm talking about the radio station, heard that, or on any of the news channels, and I'm wondering why you all are not, why PEPCO, and this is directed to Ms. Cooper, why PEPCO is not alerting people, and I have not seen announcements telling people about this scam, and this is going on all over D.C. I don't know if Maryland or Virginia, I don't live there, but I do know that this is a very common scam, and all of my friends are getting these calls 2 or 3 times a day.
First of all, thank you so very much. And that particular scam, we are familiar with this whole 30% discount piece that you just referenced, and we are utilizing, and you indicated something that's very important, which is that the social media aspects. So we do utilize social media. That's one vehicle for sharing information. We also engage our nonprofit partners as well as others in terms of stakeholders with the information that we do have concerning these scams. We also have our customer care representatives who have information concerning the types of scams that are transpiring within our jurisdictions. So if you were to call PEPCO, information could be provided concerning that. We very recently issued a press release, which we send out to advisory neighborhood commissioners. We send it to council offices, the mayor's office of community relations, so that we can share information on these tactics that are ultimately being utilized to make certain that our customers are aware, and we're maximizing the resources by providing that information to others. On this particular issue, this is one thing that we have noted. We have had conversations with our security division, and we're looking at other opportunities and options to get more information out directly to our customers concerning these particular scams. We do note that this is horrific. It comes in, as you indicated, multiple times a day, extremely aggressive, and from our perspective, there is an underlying message because the schemes are ultimately going to continue. We cannot obviously prevent the calls from coming into someone's home, but what we can do is provide the guidance of what to look out for, and that does not change. Is that individual who is calling, asking for immediacy around payments, sharing with you that you're going to get a discount, and this is something that's coming into your home. So we're asking people to take a pause ultimately and hang up the phone if someone is telling you that you're about to receive a discount even, and I'm glad that you brought that up. You be the initiator of that call, and you contact PEPCO concerning that particular item that is then being presented to you. So it's the ongoing information about what to look out for, because the schemes, unfortunately, as Chairman Phillips said, is becoming more numerous, unfortunately. And again, what I wanted to share with you is that we are committed to this. We are looking at other opportunities. We've been on the listservs. We've seen this particular reference on the listservs as well. Customers have called us directly regarding this, so we are aware. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Claiborne, if I can add, the situation you described is exactly the reason why the Public Service Commission has gotten involved on this issue. We are also aware of this, and we actually started a website. It's www.fightutiliscams.com. If you go to this website, and you can please share this with your friends if you can. There are actual videos where you can see real people in situations where, just like you described, where they're confronted, they're pressured, and you can actually see how they respond, how to deal with these types of activities. Now, the point that I want to underscore is that just as soon as we get something up about this scam, unfortunately, the scams can change. They are so sophisticated, they try to stay one step ahead of us. But if you can go to our website, learn what to look for, you can always be prepared, and no matter what the scam is, you won't get caught.
And that's good advice. And I always tell my friends and family and parents specifically is if they get a call and they're suspicious of it, tell them that you'll call them back and then call the official number. And that's usually the best way to, sort of weed out some of these things. We have another caller who's been waiting patiently, Mr. Lewis Allen. He has a question about a gas provider, and I'm going to have him go live now. Mr. Allen, you should be live.
The bill is in my husband's name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Maggie. He's in the hospital and he can't reach it.
I'm sorry to hear
reply
that.
to this, but I asked the question: is INDRA a legitimate supplier?
INDRA.
I'm not familiar with it off the top of my head. It could be, but what we would like you to do is if you could contact us, you can call us 202-626.
Wait a minute, let me write this. Wait a minute, 202.
626 51
202 wait a minute, 202-62.
626 5100. You can.
I know 202-626-5100, and that's direct to
That's to the Public Service Commission,
okay.
and you can describe your issue, and we can get someone on the phone who can verify whether or not this is indeed a legitimate company, a legitimate third-party supplier.
Right, okay. 202-626-5100. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
INDRA, okay. Okay.
And then we'll take one more quick question for someone who's been waiting for a bit of time. The question is around electric company contacting suppliers. Sorry, those were a bunch of words. But he said that there's basically the calls that they're getting making him nervous to talk to the electric company. And so, Mr. Sockwell, I'm going to have you go live right now. Mr. Sockwell, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Go ahead with the question.
Yeah, I've sort of changed it by listening to one of the previous callers slightly. I have had the threat calls regarding Pepco and Washington Gas, claiming they would shut my utility service off in 45 minutes if I didn't call an 800 number. I engaged the person by asking them, among other things, to tell me how much I owed, since I knew I didn't owe anything, and what my account number was. They claimed that they could not tell me that. They weren't authorized to give me that information, and I assumed they didn't have it. After continuing to not give them any information, the caller, who was a live person, just cursed at me and hung up.
Yes.
On the other side, the 30% scam, which I've been receiving with spoofed Pepco numbers, claiming one comes in saying this is somebody Brown, and that's a robocall, and then if you stay on the line and take one of the three options, press 1, press 2, or press 3, they're all going to take you to the same salesperson trying to get you to accept a 30% discount. We're going to send you your rebate check and things like that. I did call Pepco on one of them, and the operator at Pepco was unaware of any calls having come to her regarding these scams. And I am wondering, among other things, if there are any legitimate companies that Pepco or Exelon has employed to, or has created a relationship with, who are authorized to call Pepco customers to try to switch the power provider, not the distribution, which Pepco does, but the power provider, to another source.
So I would say no, because Pepco is a distribution-only company. We are not in the business of trying to get customers to switch to an alternative supplier. We are not in that business, so Pepco would not be hiring anyone to provide information and to provide you options to switch. Something that you said that was very important when you were sharing your information and engagement, and I want to underscore this. When someone is calling you, as you've articulated, that person will be asking you generally for the information you just shared, your account number, your name, your address. They may ask you for your social security number. If Pepco is calling you, Pepco has that information. So that is another red flag as it relates to providing that type of information, that you should not, under any circumstances, provide your personally identifiable information, because the scammers, as we know, are trying to get additional information from you as well. One of the things that you did note is the customer care representative that was not familiar with this. I'm not sure of timing, but we will underscore this again when I actually go back to the office. But we do know for a fact that this 30% discount offering is something that is going throughout the District of Columbia as well as other areas as well. But we would not be hiring anyone to call our customers to discuss, as Pepco, changing to an alternative supplier.
Thank you for your call.
The spoofed,
Go ahead.
I just want to say that the spoofed numbers that come up on caller ID can be Pepco numbers or Washington Gas numbers or completely unrelated numbers that give the recipient of the call, or are intended to give the recipient of the call, no indication or a specific indication of where the call is coming from. And in any way, I think they're directed to seniors. I am a senior, but I've been around Pepco. I used to know John Derrick, but the point is that I don't think that these calls are at all good for people who don't think immediately that there is reality there.
Yeah.
And that the carrot issue about the 30% discount will get people to talk to them, and once they got you online, they're gonna go after you.
And that's a good point, and that's why AARP has our Fraud Watch network, where we try to go out and educate people on the fact that numbers can look very similar. I've actually gotten scam numbers from my own phone number. Someone called and asked if I wanted to change my frequent flyer miles from my very own phone number, which I thought was interesting. But that's a very good point, and I'm gonna thank you for your information, and we will move on to the next caller. Sorry, clicked on the wrong thing there. We have here a couple of questions about the 30% discount, but then we have a question from Miss Barber. She is Washington, D.C., and Miss Barber, you are live.
Yes, this is Miss Barber.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am?
Yes. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my question is pertaining to the same issue that you were talking about. And one of the things is that they call so much, and they call on weekends, that when I look at the number, it is actually your number. It is actually Pepco's number. But one of the options I did do was I pushed that whatever was 3 so they won't call again. They turn around and they call me again. So I did call Pepco last week and voiced to the lady that these things are happening. They're calling on their number. So when you actually see the Pepco number, then you will pick it up, because it is actually your number. And the lady said she wasn't familiar with a lot of that, but she was, she took down my information and everything. She said she would get to that. But my only other question is how can we stop these calls? There's no way to stop them, because I get them like 10 times a day. So is there any way to stop when I see the number, just hang up?
So thank you very much for sharing that, and we understand the frustration. For Pepco, we cannot stop the calls from ultimately coming in, but it's again, and we know that it's very impactful to receive multiple calls. And I'll share, I know many people, family members, myself even, who receive the same. And ultimately, it's the underscoring of what you should not do under those circumstances. But as you said, you will see that Pepco number. So it is ultimately your natural reaction to ultimately pick that phone up. But be mindful of the flags that we just shared with you. At this time, we know of no way to prevent those calls from coming to you, but to really make you aware and prepare you, should those calls come in, how to not be a victim to those scams.
Yeah, and I can say too that I've been in conversations with folks about how to stop the calls, and Some of the smartest people in the world and some law enforcement agencies I've talked to have said that they don't know how to do that. So that's why we're trying to educate people on how to distinguish from an actual versus a scam call. So until our technology gets better, the scammers almost have a leg up.
You know, and what's even scarier, we've heard complaints of people receiving door knocks late at night, after 9 p.m., pressuring people to do the same thing. So there's nothing that we can do to stop it, as everyone has said, but we want to make sure that you have the information that you need. And it sounds, Ms. Barber, like you're doing the right thing by hanging up the phone.
Yes. And that's what we'll do from here on in.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we have a question from Facebook coming in. And we actually have a couple questions. They're handing them to me now because we are very high tech here at AARP. So the first question from Facebook, what resources are available for those who have been victims of utility scams?
Right, so someone who has been a victim of a utility scam, again, it's so difficult, and I kind of mentioned this earlier. Once you have provided access to your account or access to a debit or a credit card, unfortunately, those funds are ultimately gone. That's why it's important to report it to local authorities, report it to the Attorney General's office. I said to report it to us, but law enforcement is the entity that is investigating this, trying to come up with new means and mechanisms of identifying who the perpetrators are. And so you have to file that complaint with the Attorney General's office as well as law enforcement, and they will have to take the tools that they have and the resources that they have to try to investigate it to see whether or not they can connect to whom has done it. But after those resources are ultimately transmitted, I will share, it is extremely difficult to even identify the entity. Many of these entities are even abroad, and they are not even locally within our jurisdictions. So the best thing is to really try not to be a victim to it, but hopefully law enforcement will improve their tools, the resource, the technology in the very near future to be able to identify the perpetrators. I know Chairman Phillips has some additional comments.
Well, I think it's important to note that we're here talking about this sort of on the front end, the education end. At the end of the day, this is a crime. This is a theft. And so you really do have to go to law enforcement. They're the best place to go, or the Office of the Attorney General, as has been mentioned. But we want to make sure that you have the information you need on the front end.
And we have two callers that have been on for a while, but they've been questions that have been answered. One is specifically about the 30% discount, and then one is about getting information to TV stations. And I know we've talked about the 30% discount scam. It is a scam. And if you when in doubt, when they call you for these, remember to tell them that you'll call them back. And then regarding getting information out to TV stations, like I said, AARP has the Fraud Watch Network, and I know that we'll be incorporating utility scams information into our Fraud Watch Network training. But is there any plan to do any sort of TV-based outreach, either on the local stations or on cable?
Yeah, so we have participated in terms of utilizing media, and again, based on just the frequency and the escalation, looking at opportunities to get before media more frequently and very soon. So we need to think through that because, of course, using mass media gets that information out to people at a much higher level. So we have used it in the past, and we'll look at using it more frequently and much more strategically moving forward. So thank you for recommending that again.
The same goes to the Public Service Commission. We've reached out to local media outlets. We actually have scheduled to go on a local access channel very soon. So stay tuned, and we look to do more of it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll share that information with us, and we can push that out to our members here. I'm going to give the speakers a bit of a water break for a second, and we'll go to a poll question. So to participate in a poll, please press, I'm looking at my directions here, press 1 for yes, or 2 for no, or 3 for undecided. Facebook Live viewers can just type into the comments section 1 for yes, 2 for no, or 3 for not sure. The poll question that we have is, AARP is fighting to protect you from fraud as well as many other issues. If you would like to learn more about how to work with our office about fighting fraud, please press 1, Press 2 if you don't want to, or press 3 if you're unsure. And while those poll results are coming in, and I think we're sufficiently watered, we will go back to questions. We have a question here, specifically for the Public Service Commission. Mr. Ronald Taylor, you are live. All right. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I can. My question has to do with the source of these telephone calls. I gather that the scammers use the technology of Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP, to mask the source of their calls. What's being done, or is there anything that can be done to address that particular part of the scam? I also have a second question, and I'll hold for the answer.
Well, first, to address your question regarding what is being done, that is actually something that falls under the jurisdiction of the federal government, and it's the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, is where you would want to go to direct any questions or concerns. I can tell you now that it's difficult to know where these calls are coming from. As Ms. Cooper has noted a couple times, many times they're international calls. And so the ability even of the federal government to regulate them and stop them may be limited, but I do encourage you to go to the FCC. You got a second
I've done
question?
that. My mother was victimized by that through the Jamaican lottery scam. In addition, her telephone number was changed without her knowledge. My question is, my complaint went to the Public Service Commission. No one responded, and I'm just curious about whether or not those complaints are actually handled.
Mr. Taylor,
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask, how did you submit your complaint?
Over the phone.
Okay, well, first of all, let me just apologize. If you submitted a complaint, and I believe you that you did, and you did not get a call back, that is unacceptable. I can guarantee you I will have a follow-up conversation with the folks handling our phones. They're excellent folks, by the way, and I know they do a good job. So this oversight is something that's unfortunate, but I do apologize on behalf of the Public Service Commission.
And her telephone number was actually changed. I thought that the Public Service Commission had the job of keeping our contacts with local public service entities secure. Why is it that I never got a call back?
That's unacceptable. I wish that I had a better answer for you other than we dropped the ball on that one. But I have to tell you, I don't know when this happened. I don't know the timeline. We are refocused.
This is 10 years ago, at least.
Okay. Well, that predates my time a little bit, but that's still no excuse, I have to say. And we are refocused on this issue. This is a campaign that we have launched. It is something that we have a website, as I've mentioned, www.fightutiliscams. Now, this just launched in January. So I can guarantee you, if you reach out to the Public Service Commission with any type of issue, including this issue with the number change, we will be right on it. Thank you, Mr. Taylor, for your comment and your question.
Thank you. We have, and then just as a real quick break, we got 61% of folks on the call would like more information about how to fight utility scams. So I think it's a good sign that people want to be educated and people want to protect their pocketbooks. We have a call from Ms. Mary Perkins. She wants to know something about Liberty Mutual Power. Ms. Perkins, you should be live. I'm sorry, my computer is a bit slow to tell me if you are or not. Are you
Yes,
there?
hi.
Hi.
Yes, I'm here.
Great.
I wanted to know, is Liberty Power Supply a legitimate company?
I don't know. I can't say off the top of my head. There are many different suppliers that are certified by the commission, but I would give the same advice that we gave the earlier caller. If you would, please contact the Public Service Commission, and I'll give you a moment to write this number down. Please write it down. It's
Okay, I'm ready.
202
202
626
what?
626
626. Okay,
5100.
5100.
Right.
Okay, because what's happening is this particular company, they're charging I guess amount of money to be added to my bill, and the amount that's being added to my bill is more than what my bill is. My bill is like only $284.99, and Liberty charges $304.36.
Yeah, like I said earlier in my comments, this feels like there could be something wrong. If you have that intuition, pick up the phone, call PEPCO, call the Public Service Commission, and we can help you investigate this and figure it out. And I gotta tell you, this doesn't sound like your situation, but if something sounds too good to be true, that is probably a red flag as well. That's something. Sometimes what you'll get is the scam could be, we're gonna get you a very low rate for a short period of time. It's called a teaser rate, and then your bill can skyrocket. And you can go into something like a situation like it sounds like you might be
on my bill every month.
Well, yeah, please let us know, and we can help. Our Office of Consumer Services, they can help you investigate this, interface with the company, and come to some type of successful resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins.
Oh, okay. So I can just call this number you just gave me,
Yes, ma'am.
626-5100.
Yes.
That's it. That's perfect.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have another Facebook question. What can I do to help my parents tell the difference between a scammer and a legitimate utility call?
Well, the first. Go ahead.
You can go ahead. So once again, it's the same information that we're providing in terms of your parents. If your parent is contacted, there are those flags that you ultimately need to look out for in terms of asking them for immediate payment. Again, telling them that their service is going to be disconnected. Your parents should be told never to provide their personally identifiable information, their account number that's associated with their particular accounts with their utilities, their social security numbers, their name, phone numbers, and addresses. The utility, if they're calling them, have that information. Anytime that they suspect that something is just not right, outside of ultimately those flags that I just mentioned, your parents should ultimately call the utility directly, and or you assist with interfacing ultimately with the utility on their behalf. Because one other thing that I wanted to share is that we do have a third party piece that is associated with our accounts. So your parents can have you connected directly to their account so that they can discuss the bill or handle matters related to their account as well. So just wanted to share that as another tool or resource if you want to be able to engage and actually handle their bills on their behalf.
I also want to just encourage you, if you can have your phone or have your computer, go to the website that the Public Service Commission created, www.fightutiliscams. This is an excellent resource. It not only has videos that I mentioned earlier, but it has fact sheets, tips. It gives you line by line what to look for and what you can do to help protect yourself. So I encourage you, go to our website, please.
Thank you for your call. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a Facebook question. I got distracted. That was my fault. I was looking at the next question, actually. The next question is about solar panel box. It's Miss Hope Etienne. And Miss Etienne, I believe you are live. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
What I was calling about is I have the panels on my roof, and I've had the panels for some time,
But then I was told, somebody said that I was supposed to get the panels covered, so I called Pepco, and a repair person came out here, and he gave me and told me to get to call the Benning Road office, and they would send someone out here to do that. And I've been calling Benning Road, but I never get an answer from a person.
Okay, so
And I have not been able to go to Benning Road personally. So what do I do?
So for clarification, you indicated that you have solar panels, and my understanding is that there is some level of repair that's ultimately required with your panels.
It's when they put the wires into the box out there, they don't cover them.
So there's an
The wires on. And they tell when I called Pepco, and the man came out thinking, something, and he saw that. He said that I had to go to Benning Road and tell them I had the panels, but they need to be covered. Call Benning Road, so I kept calling it, but nobody else answered the phone.
Right. So the one thing that I can't distinguish is whether or not it's on the developer side in terms of who installed the panels, or is there an interconnection piece that's ultimately related to Pepco. One of the things I'm not sure is there a way that I would be able to get her contact information?
Yeah, I can. Miss Etienne, if you don't mind, I can see your phone number. Do you mind if I write that down and provide it to Miss Cooper?
Yes.
So what we will do, we'll get additional information and we'll follow up and assist you in resolving this issue through our Green Power Connection team.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Okay. And I just need to write down your phone number before it disappears from my screen. And I'm trying not to read it out loud, so there you go. Thank you,
Okay.
and I'll make sure that information gets passed along.
Okay, thank you very much.
We have a few folks on here who are asking generally about how those calls get stopped, and I just want to say that, we talked earlier about the fact that the scammers have found technology that we just can't seem to keep up with, and I think I mentioned that I got spoofed from my own phone number. The best advice we can give you is that we can't stop the calls right now. I know people are working on ways to try to do it, but I think that the technology just isn't there yet. And so the best way to protect yourself from these calls when they happen is to just be vigilant. And if you suspect something, go with your gut feeling. That's, my mother always taught me that. Everybody always tells me that. Go with your gut feeling. If you think it's a scam, it's probably a scam. And if Pepco calls or AARP calls or the IRS calls, just say, you know what, I'll call you back. Go online and find the phone number and call back. And I can say from an AARP perspective, we want to know if you're getting calls from us because that's something we can address and we can educate folks on. And I'm sure Pepco is the same and the Public Service Commission is the same, that we want to know if this is happening so we can train our folks on how to respond to that and we can get information out about those particular problems. So unfortunately, the calls aren't going to be stopped, but we can make sure that you're prepared when you get the calls to keep yourself safe and keep your pocketbook safe, and that's what we're really trying to do here. And then let's see, we have a few questions on here about from Miss Dorothy Bess dealing with a second supplier. And Miss Bess, you should be live.
Yes, my question is, Pepco, I deal strictly with Pepco. I constantly receive calls asking me to subscribe to a second supplier. Do I have to, or is that a requirement of Pepco to have a second supplier?
Right. So let me share, and I'll also turn it over to the chairman of the commission. There is no mandate that you have to have an alternative supplier. It is about choice. So customers will be able to evaluate their options. It's very important when the commissioner shared earlier in reference to who are the authorized suppliers. But there's another piece to this as well. We both have done a lot of outreach and engagement regarding the types of questions that you even ask your alternative suppliers to ensure that you are getting an opportunity that is within your respective interests. So Pepco would never mandate that you have to have an alternative supplier. For those customers who do not choose an alternative supplier. We do go out on the market and we do purchase the generation through a standard offer service option, and that is overseen by the Public Service Commission as well. So I'll turn it over to Chairman Phillips.
So yeah, to piggyback for a moment, we are a retail choice jurisdiction, and just simply that's a fancy way of saying you can pick your supplier. You don't have to use Pepco as a supplier if you don't want to. If you want to have 100% renewable energy, or if you want to have 100% nuclear energy, or whatever the case may be, you can pick a different supplier. There are about 17 jurisdictions in the country that have that same setup. Unfortunately, this does provide an opportunity for scammers to come in and to pretend like they are a real utility, a real third-party supplier, when they are actually a fake company or a fake person. This is something we continue to fight against. We continue to try to educate people on, but that's just a little bit of background on why you may be approached from someone from a third-party supplier.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have about 5 minutes left in the hour, and I wanted to give our panelists an opportunity to give some wrapping comments. And so, Ms. Cooper, I'll start with you.
All right. So first of all, just wanting to reemphasize to thank you very much for convening this, wanting to thank the Public Service Commission, because again, this is another opportunity for awareness, education, as well as engagement. I've appreciated the questions that have been asked, and I hear a lot of frustration, and we do understand that. Unfortunately, we cannot at this time prevent the calls, but it's really about the education, and it's about arming you to ensure that you identify what we have designated as these red flags. It's really about empowering you to not take action when someone who is committing a scam is attempting to get you to commit the action of providing your resources. We understand how impactful that is. What I have appreciated about today as well is some of the recommendations that have been made, and what it has elevated and pronounced is just again and underscored is how much outreach, engagement, and how we can utilize the mass resources and tools that are available to get this information out to our customers at an even heightened level. So again, please do not give and provide your personally identifiable information. If you are in a situation where you cannot meet your billing obligations and you may think that you're in a position of disconnection, please contact Pepco and ask for a payment arrangement. Also your other utilities. We're here to support and to provide assistance, and we can assist you. So do not fall to that call that indicates that you will be disconnected immediately and to provide your resources to them. Hang up that phone, disconnect. You've used the concept, your gut reaction, what you initially feel about someone contacting you, and you know that something is not right. Just separate yourself from that and you initiate the call to our company. Again, our number is 202-833-7500, and we have customer care representatives that can assist you. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you.
I also want to thank the AARP DC as well as Pepco for convening this important session. I want you to know that if you're getting these calls, if you're getting approached, knocks on your door, that you're not alone. I have gotten the calls. My mother has gotten the calls, and I tell her sometimes, if it's a pressure situation, tell the person, I never make these big decisions like this on the same day. I'll call you back tomorrow. You can always call them back tomorrow. And that's something I encourage you to do. I think that education is the key. Collaboration is the key. That's why we're here together. Also, I want to point out the Office of People's Counsel. They are an agency in the district. They are by right a party to all of our proceedings. They are another resource that I would encourage you to reach out to. But you can always come to the Public Service Commission. Again, our number is 202-626-5100, and that website is www.fightutiliscams.com.
And I'd like to thank both the panelists. This has been incredibly helpful, and I want to remind folks too that if they have any, if they need any resources from AARP, we have the Fraud Watch Network, which is available at aarp.org. It is now 11 a.m., and I would like to thank again my panelists for providing us with such great information, and thank the callers for the questions they asked, and the screeners for helping us keep this all organized. Everybody, stay safe out there. Thanks.